So, how to design a colouring book using Geogebra. Here are some ideas and hints that you might want to take on board. Please do make sure this is your own design though. So here I'm starting with a parent function of x squared, and I could then say, well, I'm going to transform that, say that equals f of x, and we could say that, and we could also add 1. And we know that's gone 5 to the right and 1 up. If I want to make sure that's reflected in the x-axis, I could simply say that h of x equals minus g of x. And we get that reflected in the x-axis, which is great because it's a negative in front of the function. So that's messing around with quadratic function, and we did some of that in our previous lessons. What I'm going to do now is delete those. I'm going to change the parent function. You could have a cubic, so just do to the power of 3, and you get that as your parent function, and you can play around with that. Again, you're going to get similar results to what you had before. If I put g of x equals f of x minus minus 2, there we go, it shifted down to. What I could also do is do some slightly more interesting functions. So we could start with something called the modulus of x, which you need to have your calculator up. Where's my modulus sign? I need a straight line, which is there. So that's modulus of x, and you can see it does that. What that does is not allow negative numbers. However, if I put g of x equals minus f, you can see it reflects, and I just get all these negatives here. So that's absolute values, and you can play around with those. If I'd have put plus 3 in there, plus 3 not equals, we can see the whole graph would move up 3 as well. Hopefully you'll be more au fait with your keyboard than I am. So that's quadratics, cubics, that's absolute functions. You could also have an exponential, so say 2 to the power of x. That would give you that shape. You can play around with those. Those are exponentials. That's another family of functions. You could have square root. I don't have that symbol on my keyboard here, but you could type it in like that. On your calculator, which I can't get to on my screen at the moment, you can actually type square root. You can get graphs like that. We can have trigonometric graphs, for instance, sine x. We get obviously the waves. You have cos or tan as well, so you can play around with those. What else did I say you could have? Circles. So for a circle, something slightly different. You're going to start with x to the power of 2 plus y to the power of 2. And I'm going to say that's equal to 16. And you can see our parent function becomes a circle. So a graph x squared plus y squared equals something will give you a circle. And you can work out a relationship between this value and the radius of the circle or something for you to do. So lots of different functions for you to play with. And what we're looking for you to do is combine some of these functions. So if I'm just going to combine a few functions here, something like that, I'm also going to have